We are live. Hello and welcome to another Firearm Freedom live stream here on YouTube. I'm very excited for this one. I just want to make sure that we are in shot and proper here. As always, guys, let me know if the audio is not sounding right or the lighting doesn't look right or something like that. As always, I will try to kind of change that if I can and ask questions. These live streams are about getting me here live with the ability to ask me whatever questions that you would like. Today's live stream is going to be fairly interesting because we are going to be talking about all things NFA. Without fail, this is probably one of the most frequent questions that I get asked on the YouTube channel and also all of my other social media sites. It is always questions regarding NFA stuff a lot of the time, along with a bunch of other stuff. But with that being said, I am hopefully going to be able to answer some of those questions today. Kind of one thing I want to get right out of the gate, first and foremost, clear, is that by talking about NFA stuff, NFA rules, regulations, suppressors, Sbrs, machine guns, whatever else, that does not mean in any way, shape, or form that I agree with the NFA. A lot of people get that confused. They will see a video about an Sbr on my channel or something like that, and then they will also see a video explaining something about suppressors, and they immediately point the finger and say, hey, that guy supports the NFA, and it couldn't be further from the truth. In fact, I want the NFA gone, completely repealed, and not in existence. So completely unconstitutional, should not exist. These are the laws that if you are trying to be a law-abiding citizen with something like an Sbr or an suppressor or something like that, if you're not trying to be law-abiding about it, obviously this video might not be for you because it probably does not matter for you. With that being said, that is kind of my little disclaimer there that I absolutely cannot stand the NFA, hate it in every regard. However, with that being said, I had to learn a lot about it in order to teach you guys why it is so unconstitutional. And in learning so much about it, yes, I have dug deeper into the unconstitutional realm of the NFA. And we're going to be going over a lot today, so I hope you guys enjoy that. And hopefully at some point in our future, there will be no such thing as the NFA. I really do hope for that. We get quite a bit more. If you guys don't already know, if you missed the first live stream, last week on Friday at 6 p.m., we go quite a bit more deeper into the hardcore political thoughts that I have about the NFA and many other things over on the Instagram account. So if you'd like me to dig deeper into that, I'm going to try to keep it as clean as possible as I can here on YouTube. If you'd like to see more of those thoughts, go over to my Instagram channel, Instagram account. We do daily posts, and then we also do twice a week live streams over there on Monday and Wednesday. It also feels a little bit odd. What is up, man? Hate the NFA, hate being convicted of felonies, and more. Yeah, man, it's a ridiculous world that we live in as far as firearms rights. We are nowhere as free as we should be here in this country, unfortunately, especially when it comes to firearms rights. Now, with that being said, I also feel a little bit odd because going along with ridiculous restrictions, I cannot even show you a firearm here on YouTube's live stream. So hopefully you guys will have to just kind of understand the crazy rambling that's coming out of my mouth without showing you examples of what I'm talking about. So we'll go down the line here. Any questions that you guys have, type them up in the chat, and I'll be able to answer them to the best of my ability. First and foremost, the question that I think is the most important to answer as of right now. Would I recommend buying an NFA item at this point in time? After all my knowledge, after buying, at this point, 3 suppressors and having multiple Sbrs, would I recommend buying an NFA item? At the end of the day, I would not. Just clear cut, I would not recommend it. I know a lot of people are probably going to get surprised by that. But the amount of ridiculous hoops that you have to jump through that we're going to talk about in a bit here in order to just get something to make your firearm quieter is pretty extreme. And I have to say that after doing it all One might think, hey man, you have so many NFA items. Are you cool with it now as far as having to go through the ridiculous process? Maybe not cool with it. That's probably not the right words to use, but are you like used to it? Do you care? Does it matter to you when you go over another one? And I would say yes, absolutely. In fact, it gets more and more frustrating the more times you go through that NFA process. And if you really want to learn more about it, best way to do it is either to watch videos like this or actually go buy an NFA item and really just dig through the process even more. But at this point, no. I don't know really if it is worth it. If the amount of crazy stuff that you have to go through would be worth it to buy an NFA item hands down as of right now. Now, this is all very situationally dependent. For instance, if you are really, really into using a suppressor or silencer, a lot of people don't understand those terms can actually be used interchangeably. I want a full auto, but won't be put on that political hit list. So we're going to actually talk about the list here in a second. I actually have that written down as one of the questions. You might be a little bit surprised at my answer, but we'll see. But yeah, so it's all situationally dependent. If for instance, a suppressor or a silencer is very important to you, you are using it for a specific hunting reason. You really want that for home defense. You are teaching a lot of new shooters how to shoot, and you think it might be really awesome to be able to shoot without hearing protection. This might be something that would push you, regardless of the ridiculous unconstitutional stuff you have to go through to get one. This might be something to kind of push you over the edge to actually end up purchasing one. When I want pseudo legal advice on federal, my go-to is usually a hipster with stupid-looking gauges earrings. Hey man, something that I did when I was a lot younger. But if you want to judge me and the channel for the gauges, that's fine, man. That's totally fine. And also, if you're not down with the live stream, no problem, man. Just don't watch it. But thank you for tuning in, even though you don't like my gauges. So yeah, at this point, I don't know. There would be a lot that would have to push me over the edge to go back in time and do it again. Long and the short of it. Next question, right? Do you waive your rights for due process? Basically what I mean by that, a lot of people throw out there, you waive your rights to due process. Can they just come into your home without a warrant when you have NFA items? So I should preface this. So I should preface this as well with saying I am not a legal attorney or advisor in any sort of way. So you be the judge on this. This is information that I have come across, and it seems to be fairly truthful information. So this is actually kind of more so one of those NFA myths. A lot of people don't really get this one entirely right. So if you buy a suppressor or something like that, a lot of people say that the ATF can come knock on your door and check on said item at any point that they would like. Without a warrant, they can just come right into your house. This is thrown around a lot in the NFA world by people generally who have not really gotten into the NFA world before yet. They've just heard this from so-and-so. Where this process actually gets mixed up here is with your FFL or SOT. So somewhere along the line, somebody misunderstood getting your FFL or SOT and getting an NFA item. So with that being said, if you have your FFL or SOT, in other words, if you have the ability to have a gun shop, would probably be, I guess, the easiest way to simplify that, or even your curio and relic license, which a lot of people don't really understand, I don't think, or your CNR license, that would be the case. If you have any of those things, the ATF actually does have the ability to come in and either audit, check out what's going on at any point in time. You actually get a designated ATF agent in your area that can just come on down and come a knocking, which I absolutely disagree with. I think that's incredibly unconstitutional and one that I don't think a lot of people know about and should not exist. This is a big reason why I recommend not getting your FFL, SOT, or something else out of your home address. I would definitely wait until you have an off-site premises that you could have that FFL or SOT at, because you are now opening up your home to kind of waiving your right to due process, which is a little ridiculous. But with that being said, this is not mirrored with NFA items. So other than the ridiculous unconstitutional stuff that you have to go through, meaning $200 tax stamp, Form 4 or Form 1, in order to get said NFA firearm, once you own said NFA firearm, as far as them just coming and knocking to make sure that it's in proper place or that it's at a proper location or something like that, they do not have the ability to do that. Would they still do that? Would they still try? Maybe. I don't know. I can just tell you that what's on the books, technically speaking, they can't just come and do that. So if you are nervous by getting an NFA item that all of a sudden, they're just going to come and knocking, I cannot find anything written that they would just be coming and doing that. So that's kind of, one of the myths when it comes to NFA stuff. But there are many myths when it comes to that. Next one on the list, somebody else already commented on this earlier in the live stream. Should you not get an NFA item because they will put you on a list? So in other words, would this be the only factor? Because it is for a lot of people. A lot of people come in, hey, I don't want to get an NFA item for the sole purpose of being on a federal registry, being on a list. First and foremost, there is no such registry that should exist, but there are many that do. And I would say that there's kind of two sides to this coin. There's a side of knowingly or unknowingly being put on a registry. And we're going to dig a little bit deeper into that with this question. So by going into the NFA world, you are knowingly signing up to be on a federal registry. There's no other way about it if you are trying to go about it in a legal way. Now, obviously, if that doesn't matter to you, then none of this will, and it is what it is. But with that being said, if you're trying to go about it in a legal way, yes. By signing up, you are now on a federal registry. You said, yes, put me on that federal registry, which actually makes me cringe to say. And honestly, that's one of the biggest reasons why, if I had to go back and do it again, although I did learn a lot, although I can showcase NFA items for you guys here on the channel so that, if you're still debating, maybe a video can help you out and make you understand if it's worth it or maybe not worth it for you to go down that road. As much as I really enjoy the ability to do that, it pains me to know that I had to willingly go onto a federal registry of those items, not all my other items, but of those items on the NFA list, which is ridiculous. Now, with that being said, I said a little bit earlier there, knowingly and unknowingly. So this is where I think a lot of people get somewhat confused, and this is where you can really dig into the harsh, unconstitutional gun laws that we currently live with today in the United States. So when we look at unwilling registries, right? Whether you like it or not, the 4473 form, and a massive reason why, among many other things, I believe that form in and of itself is unconstitutional, is the fact that it basically is a registry. Again, whether you like it or not, that is a registry. Why is it a registry? No matter what information you're reading, no matter what information you get at some point or another, whether it's 5, 10, 20, 15 years down the road or whenever a gun shop closes, those 4473s that you are consistently filling out for whatever firearm that you get will be sent to the ATF. Very few of them actually get destroyed. Now you be the judge. There's nothing in writing that says those forms with all of your information and your serial number and your current address at that time, or your change of address if you recently changed, there's nothing written that says that information is getting stored or cataloged at the ATF's headquarters. Yes, one could argue that it is already a fairly understaffed branch of the government, and that maybe there's not even enough people to filter those forms through to even categorize them in the first place. But I would argue that it would probably be a high probability. It would be a good chance that they are categorizing all that information. Now, that information. You have serial numbers, again, you have your address, you have all your information, and it shows what firearms you have. I like to look back, I think this is kind of prophetic and also prophetic, I'm not sure if that's the right word. You guys are getting all the crazy grammar now in these live streams. I am definitely not an expert when it comes to grammar. But I love always looking back when I bring up this example to Red Dawn, the original, the good Red Dawn back in the day, when the invaders are coming down, and the first thing, one of the first few scenes, the leader of the military at that point, I think it was the Cubans at that point, says, go to all sporting goods stores and get the 4473 form. It will have all the information, blah, 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 blah. And that's very accurate, because at any point in time, if the federal government went to a firearm shop, let's say forcibly, because I'm sure a lot of firearm shops would not let this happen, they could technically get a hold of all of that information if they didn't already have it. So that's what really frustrates me quite a bit about the current 4473 that we have, is that at any point it could potentially be used as a registry. The only time that this would not apply to you is if you consistently only did 80% builds, or if you only did private party sales, and in your state a private party sale did not have to be facilitated through a gun shop. So this would be pretty much the only time that that wouldn't apply to you. So the long and the short of it here is there's a really good chance that you are probably already on some sort of a registry, which should fire most of you up if you are watching this at home and thinking that, you know, we don't live with unconstitutional gun laws at the moment. So should that be a total deterrent? Should it be the only thing that, you know, worries you that you're going to be put on the list? The question that I would pose to you instead of is that the only deterrent would simply be, do you want to willingly put yourself in that position? Do you want to willingly do that? One could argue that if you are filling out a 4473 at a gun shop, you are definitely not willingly putting yourself into a registry, whereas in the NFA world, you are willingly doing it. So that would definitely be the question that I would ask yourself, because I think that's extremely important. And also, guys, if you didn't already see in the beginning of the live, please chime in with any questions or comments that you have, and I will answer them right here live for you. That's what these lives are for, you know. Not to mention PA's registry of transactions of handguns. Andrew, that's a phenomenal point. In Pennsylvania, we do technically have a pseudo registry of handguns that is generally completely overlooked by a lot of people, which is frustrating to me. In Pennsylvania, our handguns, any firearm sale purchase that has to do with a handgun is a bill of sale, basically. A bill of sale gets sent to the state police in Pennsylvania, which is absolutely against the Pennsylvania Constitution. But I guess we just said, screw the Constitution here in Pennsylvania, and decided to go down that road anyways, which is very frustrating. A next point on the list, is there a benefit for SBRs? That's another question that I get a lot. Would you do an SBR build over again? Ultimately, if you're going to get into the NFA, I would recommend getting into the NFA through the suppressor or silencer route, if you're going to go through that. If you want to go through the process, is it worth it to get a suppressor? You be the judge, situationally dependent. Is it pretty cool to take your ears off at the range? Yeah, absolutely. Does it maybe have sporting or defensive uses? Yeah, absolutely. So there's a lot of really cool reasons to have a suppressor. It's just the ridiculousness you got to go through to get one. With that being said, though, the SBRs, it's kind of a different story. Thinking about SBRs over again, I can tell you there's a lot of frustrating points that I myself did not think about before I went down that road, and quite frankly, I would have never learned that if I had not gone down that road. So when you're going down the NFA road when it comes to rifles, for putting a stock on it, super bare bones explanation here. If you have a barrel length of less than 16 inches and you would like to put a stock on that firearm, and it is a rifle as a classification, not a firearm, pistol, shotgun, or anything else that is classified as a rifle with a rifle barrel, and you want to put a stock on it, it has to be manufactured either from the factory, from the get-go, as a short-barreled rifle, or you can manufacture it on a Form 1 process. In other words, you would like to manufacture your own short-barreled rifle. There's a lot of ways to go about this. If you're going to go about it, I would absolutely go the Form 1 route, the electronic Form 1 that is still live right now. It's a way to get it back relatively fast to a point. You're still going to be waiting a month or two. But with that being said, it's much faster than 12 or 13 months. An SBR goes down a little bit of a different road than a suppressor, in my opinion. There's a lot more things that come into play. It's a little bit more frustrating with an SBR to travel across state lines. We know this is pretty much common knowledge. But if you're traveling with a short-barreled rifle or really any other NFA item that is not a suppressor over state lines, again, do your own legal research. This is my opinion of the law. But you do not have to notify the ATF beforehand, whereas an SBR or something else, you actually have to fill out, I think it's a 5120 form if I'm not mistaken, and basically ask the Crown if they grant you the ability to leave over state lines ahead of time before you do it. So you can't even do it afterwards and be like, hey, I'm already in the other state, can you get me the approval or not, blah, 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 blah. They have to give you that approval ahead of time. Now, how long is that approval going to take? I don't know. Do you want to maybe let them know a year ahead of time before you leave state lines with your firearm? That's really unfortunate, and that sucks quite a bit. So this is a big deal. On top of that, if you are moving out of state, this is, again, a really big deal and something that you have to think about down the road when it comes to NFA items. We're going to talk about beginners a little bit later on as far as what maybe they get wrong when it comes to the NFA stuff, and this is nothing really to their fault, beginner mistake, we could say. But that's a big thing. A lot of people do not think about the long-term ownership of an NFA item, and that really can get sucky pretty fast. So with an SBR, you have to get notified of the okay before you head out of state lines. All of this stuff, saying it out loud, again, this stuff should really frustrate you guys. And a lot of the time, I make these live streams hoping to kind of break out some of that fire in people and make them understand really like the grand scheme of things and how ridiculous this stuff really is, because a lot of people just don't get into it. They don't think about it. They're concerned, absolutely, as they should be, on looming assault weapons bans and other things, but it's kind of should not be forgotten the amount of restrictions that are currently going on with NFA items, and that's including machine guns, destructive devices, SBRs, SBSs, and suppressors. So with the SBRs, on top of that, if you guys remember on my channel with my PTR saga, so I had a lot of issues with my PTR 9CT, and a lot of those issues had to do with warranty repair work. This changes the game once you SBR the product, because now if you need a new item, yes, there's a lot of companies that say, hey, we'll just swap it out for you and we'll destroy your NFA item for you. There's a lot of gray area with this stuff. There's a lot of information that is not really out there, and quite frankly, if you call an ATF agent or something like that, you're probably going to get 5 different answers from 5 different people. So there's not a lot of good information about this. There's a lot of what ifs when it comes to NFA stuff, and now you do have to worry about those what ifs, because unfortunately you are now on this ridiculously unconstitutional National Registry of Firearms. So warranty repair work with SBRs, a frustrating affair. It really, really is. And then on top of that, again, getting a replacement for that firearm can really start to get frustrating. And then to go even further, getting an engraving done on the gun, again, frustrating. Some people say you have to, some people say you don't. There's a lot of different information there. But ultimately, especially with the ability that we have now for stabilizing braces, whether you would like to stabilize that pistol on your cheek, shoulder, or whatever else, and have a little bit of an easier time doing that, it's really tough to even argue for the short-barreled rifle route, especially with the benefit that an AR-15 or variant pistol has over a short-barreled rifle. For a lot of places in this country, you cannot carry a short-barreled rifle loaded in your vehicle. Ironically, here in Pennsylvania, a rifle does not fall under our concealed carry permit, but a short-barreled rifle does if it's an NFA item. So that really wouldn't apply here in Pennsylvania, but there's many other states that now it's not quite as simple to carry that firearm in your vehicle. So that's something else to think about, whether you just want to keep that pistol brace on your firearm or you want to go with the SBR route. In my experience, the SBRs that I have done have been for more of a collector purpose. For instance, my PTR, I really wanted it to look as closely representative of an MP5 as I possibly could get it, and the brace for that gun just really didn't do it justice. It didn't look as good, and yes, it was about looks. Is that stupid? Is that a stupid reason to get a $200 tax stamp? Maybe, maybe not. I don't know. $200 tax stamp should not exist in the first place, so you be the judge. But if you're looking for a practical gun, I would definitely not do this. Side note here as well, you are now starting to register your firearms on this registry. So I have a lot of friends out there that I know that have kind of gone SBR crazy, and they've gone down every single pistol in their collection, and their collection was really based mainly on pistols, whether that be Scorpions or ARs or something else, and they're going down their entire collection, SBR, 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 and now pretty much their entire collection is now on that federal NFA registry willingly, which, again, is something that you're going to want to consider. Do you really want all of your guns on that registry? I don't know. I can't answer that question for you. You guys have to answer it. Sorry, guys. Let me catch up with your comments here. Off topic, did your PTR get better? Mine ran flawlessly, thank goodness. So I have not shot that PTR other than the 4th video that you have seen in my PTR saga on my channel. There's a playlist on the channel if you'd like. Just skip right to the 4th video for all of the current information. Why have I not shot it? To be honest with you, I'm kind of still just burnt out on the gun. I had so many issues with that gun. I believe it is fixed now. I didn't have any other issues after the final warranty repair fix. So with that being said, yes, I do believe it's fixed. I ran about 250 rounds through it with no issues, which the gun has never ran 250 rounds flawlessly to my memory before. So that's a good positive. Here's the deal with the PTR 9CT. I think a lot of people have had no issues more recently. I think if you want to SBR that gun, do not do it. Do not go with that option. Save up your money for an H&K variant or something like that. Again, do not SBR that gun because of the problems that I experienced. Secondly, do not, and I repeat this, do not run that gun suppressed. Reality of it is, the warranty will be voided if you run that gun suppressed. There's a lot of people, says it doesn't say anywhere in the warranty that it will be voided. You be the judge, but I've been told multiple times that the warranty will be voided if you run it suppressed. I have also been shown that they will recommend other locking pieces to run the gun suppressed successfully. We've gone down this road before. I'm not going to get too far into that rabbit hole, but you should be aware that the moment that you change out that locking piece, it also voids the warranty even if you're not running it suppressed, simply because your head spacing can also change once you change that locking piece. So it's kind of a double negative there, and if you are looking to just get the gun, to run it as it comes out of the box with a pistol brace, not suppressed, with 124 grain and up ammunition, you're probably going to be just fine. If you are looking to run it suppressed or consistently as a suppressor host, I would probably not go about it. Well, that sucks. I bought an Obsidian 9 with suppressing it in mind. Well, I'll just run it on other things. Thanks. I do apologize, man. I just don't want to. I don't want to speak positively about it, when I don't believe that I would run it suppressed, because I wouldn't run it suppressed again because of the experiences that I've had. So, I don't want to lie to you, basically. This channel is completely about honesty and truth. Personally, with me, The only change I would like PTR to do is clearly state this in the manual. Clearly state that the locking piece from the factory is not going to be sufficient for a lot of suppressors out there on the market. Clearly state that they have not tested the gun because there are such a wide variety of suppressors that you could experience overgassing issues. All I would like is that stated in the manual, maybe front page, because that's very, very important, especially if something like that voids the warranty. I think that should be warning, disclaimer right on the front, and then on top of that, the fact that you have that gun threaded and tri-lugged, once again, I think this is absolutely a given that it should be in the manual. If you do not want to put it in the manual, then don't market it for suppressor use and stop threading it and also tri-lugging the barrel. That's just my opinion. Maybe the ATF made e-filing Form 1s less of a pain in the ass, so more people would be willing to register their guns. That could very well be the case as well. A lot of people that know me personally know I dig down that tinfoil hat rabbit hole quite a bit. Shout out again over to the Instagram channel, Instagram account. I keep mixing that up. And yes, so that could be the case. Do they want to make e-form systems so much easier so that you will register your firearms? That could very well be the case. I don't know. To make it go even further down that road, I mean, on Joe Biden's campaign website that you can go to, yes, Mike, you got that right. Joe Biden's campaign website, we actually just did a live stream previously about this, showing all the ridiculous gun control that they want to push through on that campaign website. Any, quote, in his words, weapon of war he wants to then put it on the NFA registry, making you pay a $200 tax stamp and register said weapon of war. If we look back to the assault weapons ban of 1994, that is not just ARs or even AR variants. That covers a very incredibly long list of common use firearms that we currently have. He would like to put all of those on the National Firearms Act registry. So that gives you a little bit of an idea on what they want to push through in the very near future. Fell off the boat in a fishing trip. Yep. Too bad. Too bad. Let me see here. Down the list. Common mistakes when it comes to NFA newbies. So NFA newbies, you're thinking about it. You're going into a gun shop. You don't know. You've never seen a video like this. Sorry, guys. It is super. It's like 86 degrees and humid in my filming studio here, and I have a really tiny little fan, and I can just feel like sweat coming down. So I do apologize, man. I apologize. Or girl, if you're watching this, thank you for watching and putting up with my 32-minute dialogue on NFA stuff. So a lot of newbies, I see this mistake quite a bit, and I'm going to really hammer on gun store employees at Class 3 shops at this point in time. If you have a new individual that is coming into your shop and you are a Class 3 shop, which means you sell NFA items, right? They're coming in, they think they might want a suppressor. A lot of the time this happens by this scenario. Somebody comes in, they see a threaded pistol in the case. The customer says, "Why is that thing out the end of the gun?" Generally, they mean the threaded barrel that is sticking out a little bit. The gun store employee will proceed to say, "Well, that is if you would like to put a muzzle attachment or a suppressor on the end of that gun." They will say, "What? Suppressors? I thought those were illegal." Again, somewhat of along those lines. And then from there, the gun store employee will tell them the process of going through the NFA world, paying your $200 tax stamp, and so on. My biggest pet peeve with this is the customer then generally gets pretty excited about going down there. "Oh, wow, I've seen suppressors in movies and video games. Let's go down that road. Let's buy a suppressor." And, maybe money is not that much of an option for this person, so the $200 tax stamp really doesn't mean quite a bit to them. So what will happen inevitably is a lot of gun shop employees will oversimplify the NFA process. They will not let them know, about the fact that they are putting themselves on a national registry willingly. I made it a point to always tell newbies that were interested in getting into the NFA world that you have to willingly put yourself on this stupid ass NFA registry if you want to go down that road. Are you okay with doing that? Do the cost of getting the suppressor outweigh the cons of not going down that road at all? You have to be the judge, but I think it's very important to let somebody know all of this stuff. There were so many times where I saw somebody who had no idea. They might have just been buying their first gun, and then I saw the gun shop employee putting them down the on the list and then getting a suppressor in the same process. This person really doesn't even know anything about the firearms world yet, and they're already going down this hardcore, Mike, as you just said, rabbit hole of suck that I think a lot of people just don't really, I think they bite off more than they can chew. That's probably the easiest way to say it. And then ultimately a year, 11, 12 months down the road, they finally get this suppressor. They don't know about all the extra attachments they need. They don't know about the threaded adapters. They don't know which guns can run suppress, which guns can't. They don't know that you can't just simply freaking just bring a gun in and suppress whatever gun you would like, because a lot of guns just won't run suppressed. So there's a lot of rabbit hole suck, once again, that goes down this list that a lot of people just don't realize. And then they finally get this item, and then on top of that, they don't understand you can't just easily get rid of it. So now they have this item, they've paid $200, they're on the registry, they don't even realize they're on the registry, they might have just bought their first pistol, and then they get the item, they bring it to the range, maybe they're not too happy with it, and then they say, I don't want this anymore. And then they finally realize that it's not so easy to get rid of. So you go down this whole road, and by far, this is the most common mistake that I see beginners do. They don't understand the full process, and I fully blame the gun shop employees in that case. Yes, it's a little bit on the customer as well. They should do more research. But I would caution any gun shop employee, it's not about sales. It's about getting that person what they need and what they want. And I would tell anybody that's interested in the NFA world, let them understand that there's a lot to that process and that they should go home, think about it, do a lot of research, think about it some more, and then figure out whether or not they would like to go down that road. So that, again, would definitely be what I would recommend. There's a lot of people out there that kind of oversimplify the process, and it's not the best way to go. Sorry guys, I'm reading the comments here. Any firearms, knives, spears, archery, and household tools can be considered weapons of war. I know, right? The terminology is hilarious. You know what the best part, side note, I don't want to get too far down the political rabbit hole, but the best note that I have about Joe Biden's campaign website is if you go to like his Twitter account and stuff like that, in the category of like, what do you want to do for guns? It says common sense firearms restrictions. And if you go to his actual campaign website, which a lot of people fail to do to get a full understanding of just how horrible things really are, there is like, you could scroll on a mouse for 30 seconds and you'd still be scrolling on the list of things that he would like to do to restrict everybody's right, not just a certain person, everybody's right in the country to firearms. So just remember that. Thanks for your videos on the NFA. Suck, it made me reconsider it. That's what I hope. I learned quite a bit from going down the NFA road. I learned quite a bit from working at a Class 3 shop selling NFA firearms, selling suppressors, selling Sbrs, selling machine guns, selling destructive devices. I learned a lot through that process. I've had to sacrifice a little bit because obviously now I am on that federal registry with these items, and I would rather not be, obviously. Would I have learned all of the stuff that I have learned without going down this road? No, I don't think I would have, and I'm just being blatantly honest because I don't think it would have interested me. E-Rock, what's up, man? I don't think it would have interested me. I don't think I could have made the videos about these items if I had not fully grown that understanding and really just jumped in and, and figure out what it was about. Unfortunately, that cost a lot. That cost a lot of money and a lot of frustrations going down that road. Let's see here, guys. Is the NFA holder list public information? It is not that I'm aware of. Could somebody do some hardcore looking and maybe find it? I doubt it. You know, people have hacked a lot less, I'm sure. So I don't know. Research your interest thoroughly before your purchase. Yeah, researching thoroughly, that is so important when it comes down to this stuff, guys. You have to research it. When you get into this industry, unfortunately, it is not quite as simple with a firearms purchase, whether that's NFA or any other firearms purchase, to just buy it, figure out afterwards that you don't like it and want to go return it. So by far, a huge mistake that I see is a lot of people, they just don't do any research. They trust the gun store employee, and quite frankly, you shouldn't trust whoever's selling you that item. You should always do your own research first beforehand. The future of the NFA, we're talking wait times, we're talking political promises, and so on. Do I think... Hopefully we're live again. I had somebody calling in there. You know what? Let me just make sure that we are good to go. Sorry, guys. Tiny intermission there. Got to be wary of random changes in the law, too. Glances mournfully at empty pre-rule change NFA trust. Yes, Andrew, that's an incredible point on this stuff. So when you are looking into this stuff, you know, you are signing on for an incredible amount of changes that can happen that you don't even realize. And unfortunately, I love it. People say all the time, well, you know, ignorance is not an excuse, right? You can't break the law out of ignorance just because you didn't know. I think the NFA is a prime example of how that's absolutely not always the case. It is changing so frequently, and it is impossible to get a solid answer. In fact, half of the time, the only information and answers that you are getting about NFA-related topics are from forums. And if you go through the forums, it is half and half. You could have one person saying one thing, somebody else saying completely different things, somebody else saying, hey, I have a printed off email from whatever ATF representative, and then somebody else saying, hey, you know, that was not right. Another ATF agent said it was completely different. So this just gives you an idea on how ridiculous an agency is that doesn't even, you know, make these ridiculous laws. They just choose to interpret them in the most ridiculous ways humanly possible. So it's so enraging, this stuff, guys. It really fires me up. And we're going to talk about political promises, etc. in the future. I'd like to point out that at no point in time have we ever got more than an inch forward with the NFA and 100 feet back consistently. Maybe an inch forward, 100 feet back, inch forward, 100 feet back. I think this says a lot for the future of firearms restrictions and our rights slowly deteriorating away. We need to stop this from happening. And I think really, hey, I got my information from Wikipedia, so it's got to be true. Hey, man, no problems, no problems. So, you know, as far as do I see the NFA getting legislatively axed, legislatively repealed, and us getting our rights restored? I don't know if I see that happening, and I think that is something that a lot more people need to fight for. And there's many you know, different ways to make that happen. I think there's a lot more conversation that needs to be had over skimming over that. You know, a lot of people unfortunately look to what we still have now, which is very important because we are losing a lot every step of the way. But a lot of people forget, kind of with a broad stroke brush, all of the things that we have lost. You know, a lot of us, you know, we sit here and we worry about the ATF making another unconstitutional ruling about something like a piece of plastic, like a pistol brace. You know, that's kind of highly on the hot topic of worry now. And my argument to that is does anybody see how ridiculous it is that this even exists in the first place? That this piece of plastic we have to argue about versus another piece of plastic that should just be able to go on the end of our firearms. You know, I could go down a whole rabbit hole on how frustrating that is and why you all should get more educated about the NFA and understand why this does not need to exist. And why, if you look at Joe Biden's campaign website, this is a precursor to the gun control that they really want to enact. Not only are we talking registries, assault weapons bans, buybacks, magazine restrictions, we're talking bringing the firearms that we have left, which are not many at this point as far as what we legally have left, especially when we're talking to our brothers and sisters in those very unfortunate states within this country. But we're already not working with a lot here, and they want to put all of those items on the NFA registry. This is where a lot of people, forget about the NFA and why it's so important as far as needing to be gone. A lot of people don't get that. A lot of people say, "Oh, I don't need those suppressors. I don't need those, crazy machine guns or whatever else." It's not the point. That's the exact same argument that a lot of people used on why we didn't need bump stocks. And here we are further, just another notch in the belt of ridiculous, unconstitutional firearms restrictions. This is the future if we don't fight to make it not that way. This is the future of our firearms rights. Sooner or later, they're going to very seriously push to have all of these semi-automatic firearms on the NFA registry and force you to either sell it back or register it with $200 a pop onto the NFA registry before ultimately they take it away, because registration always leads to confiscation. Definitely won't happen with Democrats holding Congress hostage. Sorry if I offend. Yeah, I mean, everybody can watch this channel from all ends of the political spectrum. I would recommend it because I think a lot of people need to get a full understanding. I'm not trying to say I'm the best when it comes to educating with firearms knowledge. That's not what I'm trying to say at all. But I think you need to always broaden your spectrum, get a full understanding of everything, and then form your opinion more fully than a lot of people do. A lot of people like to just see information that makes them happy and form their opinion only off of that. And it's important you form a full opinion because I don't think that happens rarely ever nowadays. We should be able to own Abrams tanks in our driveways. I would agree, man. I would agree. But no, I think it is. I think with the current climate, it is very unlikely that that would be gone. And I would like all of you guys to question why. I don't think a lot of people question why enough. And I think a lot of people give leniency to people in office when they do not go after the NFA, thinking that it would just be a failed process or failed attempt. And I would say why to that as well. I think this is probably one of the most important pieces of legislation that needs to be gone to enact true change in getting our firearms rights back. If you can afford one, you can own a tank. Neighbors may not like it. Yeah, that's actually very true. Now, the question that you should ask is, can you also get specific cannons, I guess would be the proper terminology. My tank terminology is a little bit rusty. Proper non-black powder converted cannons on top of those tanks without having to go through a ridiculously unconstitutional NFA process. That should be, again, the question that you should ask. Let's see what we got here. That's about all the points that I had written. So I'm going to throw my little notebook of goodness. I'm pointing to the notebook like that is the NFA, but trust me, it's much more ridiculous than that. And I think the more that you learn about this stuff, the more that you go down the rabbit hole, as I said earlier in the live stream, you start to learn a lot more. You start to learn really the disgusting thing that's behind the curtain when it comes to NFA. The further you go down machine gun rabbit holes, the further you go down machine gun conversions that were done right around the area of 1986 and how annoying and gray that area can be. The more that you go down historically what the NFA was created for, the reasons why, the reasons that it was pushed into office or into law, and then also on top of that, the people that push that into law. These are all very, very important things to understand, learn about, and know. I've learned a very good amount of NFA stuff, but I am absolutely no expert. I can tell you guys that most of the time when you see a lot of folks out there that post videos or have constantly a bunch of different machine guns here on YouTube, I can tell you guys that generally the case with those folks, I don't want to put words in anybody's mouth because I don't know these individuals, but generally a lot of the time those people are not going through the regular NFA process. They have gotten their FFL and SOT. So what that allows them to do is obtain certain numbers of post-sampled machine guns, and in some very rare cases, they also get their manufacturing license so they can actually manufacture post-sample machine guns. So a lot of people get kind of mistaken. They get very confused because they'll go type into machine guns or something like that into YouTube, and they'll see somebody reviewing a post-1986 machine gun and not really understanding how it's done. Again, guys, this is even further down that rabbit hole than I think we're going to get into in today's video. But by getting an FFL and SOT, by paying a yearly amount, and then also by going through even more further registration, and then actually giving up your rights to due process, because they can come and take a look at that, whatever that location that FFL and SOT is out of. But some individuals achieve this, and they achieve the ability to showcase post-sample machine guns or post-1986 machine guns here on YouTube. So that gives you a little bit of a look into how people are able to do that. If you guys are kind of like scratching your head on how these people were able to get such crazy cool machine guns all the time. I think tanks are actually street legal if you put rubber tracks, headlights, and turn signals on them. I'm sure they would be, as they should. You're doing a great job helping people here. Pat yourself on the back. I won't pat myself on the back because I don't, I don't want to give myself any pride here. I think this is information that just needs to be known. And I also, I would love it if any of you guys do think I am incorrect or wrong or something like that. Please comment down below and let me know. You guys know here on my YouTube channel, I respond to every single comment that deserves a response. A lot of people will post something about my appearance or something like that, and I don't think that deserves a comment. Whatever. But with that being said, everything else, bad or good. So even if you critique the channel, you guys that know me personally know that I will always respond to your comments. I try to hold that very, very utmost importance on my channel. So anything that you see in this live stream that you disagree with, comment down below and let me know, and I will get back to you. And maybe I am wrong or incorrect. But guys, that's going to be pretty much all my points. So we have about 8 minutes till we hit that hour mark left. Do you guys have any other questions about NFA related topics or anything else on the channel? Let me know. Open live chat. And I would love to answer them for you. Or if anything you thought maybe I was not clear enough in the past little bit here on the live stream, I can definitely clarify it a little bit more for you. I will give you just a moment to, type in whatever you want to type in. And if not, no big deal. We'll end it a little bit early. Guys, consistently, I am going to do these live streams here on YouTube for the foreseeable future every Friday at 6 p.m. I hope you guys enjoy it. There is going to be the same thumbnail for each live stream. So that is going to give you guys an idea that whenever you see rather obnoxious but interesting thumbnail, whatever time you see that thumbnail on my channel, that will give you a notification that, okay, that is a live stream. So that is why I'm doing that same thumbnail, and hopefully I'm going to be able to consistently post a video in the beginning of the week of a regular form of content on the channel, and then the live stream at Friday, so at around 6 p.m. Why is it you park in the driveway but you drive on the parkway? I really couldn't even answer that for you, man. Do you have a set time for your live streams? You don't here on YouTube. I think you could pretty much go like guys, I've seen people go for like 24 hours, like crazy stuff like that. I'm just like, Wow, that's a lot. I don't know if I can do that. Ever think about live streaming video games? Andrew, great question. One, I don't know if I'm good enough at video games in order to do that. But two, yeah, I've definitely thought about it. The big problem with me and live streaming, like video game wise, is the fact that I have Macs. That's what I do my editing off of and everything like that. And I feel like, to properly live stream either here or on Twitch or something like that, a Mac is like the worst computer to do that with. It's not a gaming computer, so you really have to have like a good gaming setup to do that. Yes, I am a noob. I am a complete gaming noob. So these are all things that would hinder me a little bit. Now, in the future, would I maybe do that? Sure, maybe. I don't know entirely, but I would love to maybe give that a try. I think it'd be a blast. I mean, geez, sitting there playing video games and live streaming, that would be awesome. But yeah, so I would definitely consider it in the future. I think it would have to have a completely separate and different gaming setup than a Mac computer. I think that's like the worst possible option. I don't know. I could be wrong, isn't it? I'm not entirely sure. Any other questions, guys? Anything else? Type away. Type away. I'm sure there's many people that are super just angry and frustrated about the live stream typing away. Also, let me know down in the comments section, one, if you lasted this far, thumbs up, wow, thank you for lasting this far in my live stream. Secondly, if you're enjoying these, I never want to do something on this channel and consistently do it if you're not enjoying it, because ultimately, even if I have fun doing them, I don't want to consistently do them if you guys don't enjoy watching them, because you're the sole reason why I have this channel. It's a lot of fun. On top of me loving talking about guns, as we talked about in the first Q&A live stream. Have I ever shot a real MP44? I have not. I would love to. I've shot a couple of different machine guns throughout my years in the gun industry, and that has not been one of them, unfortunately. Love your streams. Thank you, Mike. Thank you. I really appreciate it. Yeah, so these, as I said earlier in the live, these are going to be a little bit more like professionally based, if you get my point there. There's a lot of different controversial, freedom-loving political views that I may have that we, again, dig a little bit deeper into on Instagram, but I'm going to keep this a little bit more streamlined here on YouTube. I think it's a better place to actually just like answer questions and give usable content. Now, with that being said, if there's ever a week where I don't feel like there's something that you guys want to hear about, or maybe I feel like you guys want to hear about, kind of stay tuned on my community section, because I might post that the live stream will be postponed for the week, or maybe I will post that it's earlier in the week. If something happens that really needs to be talked about or something like that, I'll probably do a live stream for it. So at the moment, Friday at 6 p.m., that's going to be pretty much consistently the timeline for these live streams. You like the P10C? Have you shot the CZ-P10S? I want one. I have not shot the CZ-P10S yet. I believe I've seen the S in person, but I'm remembering back, I actually don't know if I have or not. So I'm not even sure if I've seen that gun yet in person, but I'd love to get my hands on one and maybe try it out. At the moment, it's been a little bit tough to get new guns for review on the channel. This climate right now in the gun industry is not the time, unfortunately. It really kind of sucks, and it's very, very difficult to be buying a bunch of different products, or at least trying to locate a bunch of different products, because ultimately they are just not freaking available. So, guys, I am going to end this live stream now. We're at right about the minute mark. I've realized that these take about an hour to fully process on YouTube. A day to fully process on YouTube, it seems like, if you're going for the full minute. So with that being full minute, I am all over the place. Man, I don't know what the heck's going on. It's probably the heat that's doing this to me. But if you go for the full hour, it seems like it takes about a day to fully process and get everything on there. So with that being said, stay tuned for like everything fully finalized as of tomorrow, but I believe you can still watch the beginning of the live stream a couple minutes after it ends. So guys, thank you so much for watching the stream. I really appreciate it. Let me know down below what you guys want to see next, and I will try to make that happen. Thank you so much. As always, click those links down below in the description. It will lead you to the Firearm Freedom merchandise store, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter account, where we do daily posts on all three of those. Thank you guys so much for watching, and as always, have a great night, and stay tuned for more awesome videos to come soon here on the channel.